Have you ever wondered if being overly kind could actually hurt you? Most of us are taught to be generous, to give freely, and to put others before ourselves. But what if, by constantly offering kindness, we're unknowingly setting ourselves up for disappointment, exploitation, and even personal harm? Imagine a life where your own needs are overshadowed, your energy drained, and your boundaries blurred, simply because you couldn't say no. In Stoicism, we find valuable teachings on the art of balanced kindness and on the perils of giving without measure. But how do we apply these lessons? How do we recognize when kindness crosses from virtue to vulnerability? As we explore 9 unexpected ways that excess kindness could impact your life, we'll uncover not only the dangers, but also some powerful Stoic strategies to protect your peace, your purpose, and your personal boundaries. Stick around to the end, where we'll reveal practical Stoic techniques to help you find that balance, stay true to yourself, and avoid the pitfalls of unguarded kindness. This might just be the insight you need to transform your approach to giving, one that allows you to care for others without sacrificing yourself. Let's begin. 1. Dependency on others. Could your kindness be making you reliant on others without even realizing it? When we give too much of ourselves, whether through our time, energy, or resources, we might unwittingly begin to depend on others for validation, even purpose. This dependency creeps in subtly. At first, we feel joy in helping, but over time, the expectation of gratitude or reciprocation from others begins to anchor our sense of worth. Our giving, which once felt selfless, becomes a tool through which we measure our self-esteem and fulfillment. In Stoicism, self-reliance is a cornerstone. Marcus Aurelius advised looking within to find strength and stability. How often do you pause to ask yourself if your kindness is fostering dependency rather than resilience? It's a question worth reflecting on, as Stoic philosophy reminds us that genuine kindness must stem from our own abundance, not from a need for external validation. When kindness becomes a way to feel needed or appreciated, we risk losing touch with the Stoic ideal of inner stability. If we rely too much on the responses of others, we surrender our autonomy. How can you avoid this cycle of dependency? Stoicism offers a clear answer: moderation and mindfulness. By practicing restraint in our acts of kindness, we avoid crossing the boundary between healthy generosity and over-reliance. This does not mean becoming stingy or indifferent. Rather, it encourages an honest reflection on our motivations. Are you giving out of true compassion, or are you seeking something in return, even if unconsciously? Another Stoic principle here is self-discipline, which allows us to give without attachment. Picture this: you offer help, but you're not swayed by whether it's acknowledged or reciprocated. This detachment doesn't make you cold-hearted, it makes you resilient. It frees you from the emotional ups and downs tied to others' reactions, letting you serve from a place of personal strength. Imagine how different life could feel if you no longer hinged your happiness on how others respond to your kindness. What might it be like to give freely, not because you seek something back, but because it aligns with your values? Stoicism teaches us that our actions should reflect our virtues, not our insecurities or fears of being unvalued. Ask yourself, when you help others, do you feel disappointment if they fail to express gratitude or return the favor? If so, consider practicing mindful detachment, as the Stoics advise. It may be the key to transforming your kindness into a source of inner strength, rather than a point of emotional vulnerability. Next, we'll explore how excessive kindness can cause us to lose track of our own priorities, gradually eroding the very foundations of a purposeful and fulfilling life. 2. Neglecting personal priorities. Are you sacrificing your own dreams to fulfill others' needs? When kindness becomes excessive, it often leads us to prioritize others to the detriment of our own goals and values. Picture this: you consistently put aside your own projects, dreams, or even self-care routines just to be there for others. While this may seem virtuous on the surface, it can slowly erode your sense of purpose and leave you feeling unfulfilled. Is this truly the life you envisioned for yourself? According to Stoicism, each of us is responsible for nurturing and aligning our actions with our core values. The Stoics remind us that we are accountable to our own life's purpose, not just to the needs of others. Marcus Aurelius often emphasized the importance of attending to our duties, which includes pursuing what genuinely fulfills us. Do you find yourself constantly delaying your own dreams in favor of others? If so, who is looking after your needs? When we abandon our priorities for others, we risk becoming a mere shadow of ourselves, acting only in response to the wants of those around us. Consider this: a life spent always answering others' needs without regard to our own can lead to resentment, exhaustion, and ultimately, a diminished sense of self. Stoicism teaches us that we should neither be indifferent to others nor excessively concerned with them, but rather find a balance that honors both our needs and theirs. How do we maintain this balance? A powerful Stoic approach is to set clear personal boundaries. Rather than giving in to every demand, we must learn to protect the space needed to cultivate our own life goals. If we fail to do so, we risk drifting through life without purpose, constantly pulled in different directions by the wants of others. True kindness is sustainable only when we are grounded in our own purpose, and that requires us to make time for our own growth. Ask yourself, do you feel that your priorities are continually overshadowed by the demands of others? If so, perhaps it's time to reassess. Practicing assertiveness in setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's essential for preserving our mental and emotional health. By valuing our own time, energy, and goals, we create a life where kindness comes from abundance rather than depletion. Remember, Stoicism doesn't ask us to forsake kindness, it asks us to channel it wisely. When we respect our own time and purpose, we can give without feeling that our generosity comes at a personal cost. This way, our kindness uplifts us rather than drains us. In the next section, we'll examine how unrealistic expectations can grow out of unchecked kindness, leading to disappointment and inner turmoil. 3. Unrealistic expectations. Are you setting yourself up for disappointment by expecting too much from others? When we give too freely, we often, whether consciously or unconsciously, begin to expect that others will reciprocate in kind. This expectation can be subtle at first, like hoping for gratitude, acknowledgement, or even similar support when we need it. Yet, the Stoics would caution against this. Such expectations are not only unrealistic, but a recipe for disappointment. Do you feel let down when others fail to meet the standards you uphold in your giving? The Stoic mindset encourages us to give without attachment to the outcome, reminding us that true generosity is not measured by what we receive in return. In the words of Epictetus, we should focus on what we can control, our intentions and actions, rather than the reactions or appreciation of others. Could it be that you are setting yourself up for sorrow by expecting something beyond your control? When we help others with an unspoken expectation of return, we create a dependency that doesn't serve us. Imagine how liberating it would be to give simply for the act itself, without the need for gratitude or reciprocation. This kind of detachment lies at the heart of Stoicism and is key to avoiding the disappointment that can come when kindness is not met with acknowledgement. To manage expectations, we must practice what Stoicism calls emotional detachment, giving without any strings attached. This doesn't mean being indifferent, it means giving freely and allowing others the freedom to respond as they will. The Stoic approach suggests that true kindness stems from a place of strength, not from a need for others to affirm our worth. Ask yourself, can you give without expecting? Or does your happiness depend on others meeting your standards of gratitude? When we learn to accept others as they are, imperfect and often forgetful of what we do for them, we free ourselves from the chains of disappointment. By managing our expectations, we allow our relationships to be grounded in reality rather than in idealized visions of how others should act. This approach also helps us avoid resentment, as we no longer feel the sting of unmet expectations. Consider this: if you find yourself frustrated by others' lack of reciprocation, take a moment to examine your intentions. Are you giving because it aligns with your values, or because you seek something in return? Shifting to a mindset of selfless giving not only enriches our inner peace, but aligns with Stoic ideals of resilience and self-sufficiency. Next, we'll explore how an excess of kindness can invite others to take advantage of us, subtly encouraging dependency and disrespect. 4. Being taken advantage of. Is your kindness silently inviting others to take advantage of you? Excessive kindness, when unchecked, can create an unintended consequence. It sets a pattern where people begin to rely on you as a constant source of help, often without reciprocation. While kindness is a virtue, Stoicism reminds us that moderation is equally crucial. If we allow ourselves to give without limits, we may unknowingly teach others to depend on us for things they could handle themselves. Are you empowering those around you, or enabling them to lean on you excessively? The Stoic path advises us to be mindful of the motives behind our actions. If we offer our help freely, are we doing so because we genuinely want to assist, or because we seek validation or approval? Often, a repeated pattern of kindness without boundaries leads others to expect support, even when it's unreasonable. This expectation can wear down our energy and resources, leaving us feeling drained. Stoicism teaches that to avoid exploitation, we must cultivate self-control and limit our generosity to what is sustainable. Marcus Aurelius often emphasized the importance of self-respect and self-reliance. He reminds us that we must respect ourselves enough to say no when needed. Ask yourself, do you find it difficult to refuse requests for help? Does a sense of guilt often accompany your refusals? If so, perhaps it's time to reassess whether your kindness is truly an act of virtue or a habit that leaves you depleted. In the Stoic mindset, helping others is commendable only when it doesn't come at the expense of our own well-being. The philosopher Seneca urged us to give when it enhances our lives and aligns with our values, not simply because we feel pressured to do so. By practicing selective kindness, we maintain our dignity and protect our energy for things that matter most to us. Consider this approach. The next time someone asks for your assistance, pause and ask yourself if helping truly aligns with your principles and priorities. Is this a situation where your help is truly necessary, or could the person learn resilience by handling it on their own? Stoicism teaches that true kindness is not about always saying yes, but about discerning when our support will genuinely uplift others and when it may simply enable dependency. In saying no when appropriate, we actually teach those around us to become more self-sufficient and resilient. This practice not only conserves our energy, but also aligns with Stoic ideals of fostering inner strength, both within ourselves and in others. In the end, we are not here to be taken advantage of. We are here to offer meaningful support that promotes growth for everyone involved. In the next section, we'll discuss how neglecting to set boundaries can lead to burnout, leaving us without the strength needed to maintain our own well-being and, ultimately, our ability to give meaningfully. 5. Lack of boundaries. Are you losing yourself by failing to set boundaries? When we consistently extend kindness without setting clear limits, we risk losing our sense of self. Imagine a life where you always say yes, regardless of your own needs, energy, or well-being. This kind of giving leads to a slow erosion of our inner peace, leaving us exhausted and often resentful. Do you feel like your boundaries are being crossed, yet struggle to enforce them? In Stoicism, boundaries are essential for a life of balance and integrity. The Stoic philosophers taught that true strength lies not in endless giving, but in knowing when to preserve our resources and protect our personal space. What does it mean to truly protect your well-being? Setting boundaries is not selfish. It is a form of self-respect and self-care, allowing us to give from a place of abundance rather than exhaustion. Seneca advised us to practice discernment in our relationships, to recognize when our kindness serves others and when it diminishes us. By setting clear boundaries, we communicate to others where our limits lie, fostering mutual respect and understanding. Have you communicated your boundaries to those around you? Or are you silently hoping they'll understand? Creating and enforcing boundaries requires courage, especially when we worry about disappointing others. However, as Marcus Aurelius noted, we must live according to our principles rather than bending to others' expectations. Boundaries allow us to stay grounded in our values, so we don't lose ourselves in the demands or needs of others. When we ignore this need, our schedules become overwhelmed, self-care is neglected, and we risk burnout, a state where our kindness is no longer genuine but forced, leaving us depleted and resentful. Imagine if you could protect your own well-being while still being kind. Stoicism teaches that this is not only possible but essential. Boundaries help us maintain the energy required to continue living in alignment with our values. Instead of constantly giving out of obligation, we learn to give out of genuine willingness. This shift allows us to foster healthier, more balanced relationships that do not require self-sacrifice. Ask yourself, are you honoring your own needs, or are you stretching yourself thin to accommodate others? Setting boundaries is an act of integrity, a way of protecting the resources that allow us to live a meaningful life. By practicing the Stoic virtue of self-control, we can say no when necessary, preserving our energy for what truly matters. In the next section, we'll delve into how the absence of boundaries and selective kindness can lead to relationships with people who are more interested in taking than giving, a reality that can quietly undermine our happiness and peace. 6. Selective relationships. Are you attracting people who value you, or just what you give? Excessive kindness, when not tempered by wisdom, can sometimes surround us with people who take without giving. Imagine a life filled with acquaintances who only appear when they need something, never to reciprocate or support you in return. This imbalance isn't just draining, it quietly erodes our sense of worth and leaves us questioning the authenticity of our relationships. Have you ever felt that people are more interested in your help than in who you are? Stoicism teaches us to cultivate discernment, encouraging us to evaluate relationships based on sincerity and mutual respect. The Stoic philosophers believed that we should approach relationships with a clear mind, identifying those who truly value our presence and not just our generosity. Are the people in your life building you up or merely taking advantage of your kindness? When we lack discernment, we become magnets for individuals who see us only as a source of support or favors. Epictetus taught that we must guard our energy as we would guard any valuable resource. Just as we wouldn't leave our doors open to anyone, Stoicism advises us to be selective with our kindness. This is not to say we become suspicious of everyone. Rather, we should be mindful and intentional, ensuring that our energy is invested in those who genuinely value it. How can we tell the difference? One way is to observe who remains by our side during times of difficulty when we are not in a position to give. Those who stick with us in hardship, without expectation of anything in return, are likely to be genuine. In contrast, those who only appear when it's convenient for them may be drawn to what we offer, rather than to who we are. The Stoic practice of self-awareness helps us recognize these patterns. Ask yourself, do certain people only reach out when they need something? Are you constantly giving to them while rarely receiving any support in return? True relationships are built on mutual respect and support, not on one-sided expectations. By applying Stoic discernment, we give ourselves permission to invest deeply in relationships that nurture us rather than those that drain us. Selective kindness isn't about withholding compassion. It's about honoring connections that elevate our lives and bring balance rather than depletion. It allows us to establish genuine bonds, which contribute to a more fulfilling and peaceful existence. In the next section, we'll discuss how a lack of boundaries and an eagerness to please can lead to being perceived as weak, inviting further exploitation rather than respect. 7. Perceived weakness. Does your kindness make others see you as weak? Excessive kindness, without clear boundaries, can sometimes lead others to perceive us as easily controlled or manipulated. When we are always willing to help without asserting our own needs, we inadvertently signal that we are willing to put others first at any cost, even if it's to our detriment. This can foster a perception of weakness, where others see us not as generous, but as pliable and ultimately expendable. Have you ever felt that your kindness has led others to treat you with less respect? In Stoicism, inner strength is one of the core virtues, and it requires both resilience and self-discipline. The Stoics would advise that we cultivate a strong sense of self, rooted in our principles rather than in the approval of others. Marcus Aurelius, known for his unwavering character, often reflected on the importance of self-respect. Are you allowing your kindness to become a source of vulnerability rather than a source of strength? When we give without establishing limits, others may start to shift their responsibilities onto us, assuming we'll take on whatever is asked without hesitation. This behavior doesn't foster respect. Instead, it reinforces the idea that we are willing to be overburdened for the convenience of others. But Stoicism encourages us to create a balance that respects our own values, recognizing that saying no is sometimes an act of integrity rather than one of selfishness. How can we assert ourselves without losing kindness? A Stoic approach is to practice the art of setting boundaries while still offering help within reasonable limits. Saying no when necessary shows others that we are committed to our responsibilities and values. In fact, setting limits on our kindness can actually lead to increased respect from those around us as they see that we honor our own boundaries. Ask yourself, do you often feel compelled to say yes out of fear of disappointing others? Do you worry that setting limits might make you appear selfish or uncaring? Stoicism teaches us that true generosity comes not from constant acquiescence, but from a balanced approach to helping others in a way that preserves our integrity and energy. When we stand firm and say no where needed, we demonstrate both authenticity and respect for our own priorities. We show others that we value our time and well-being, thereby fostering relationships built on mutual respect rather than exploitation. Imagine the freedom of giving from a place of strength rather than out of obligation. In the next section, we'll examine how overgiving can lead to a dangerous pattern of dependency, where both we and those around us risk losing self-sufficiency and resilience. 8. Risk of dependency. Could your kindness be creating dependency rather than resilience? Excessive kindness, though often well-intentioned, can lead to a dangerous cycle of dependency for both you and those you seek to help. Imagine consistently stepping in to solve others' problems, offer solutions, or provide support without considering if they could stand on their own. Over time, this constant helping can prevent those around you from developing the self-reliance that Stoicism values so highly. Are you helping people grow stronger, or are you unintentionally holding them back? In Stoic philosophy, self-reliance is essential to a virtuous life. Epictetus often stressed the importance of inner strength and resilience, reminding us that true empowerment comes from within. When we are always there to cushion others from hardship, we may rob them of the opportunity to build this resilience for themselves. Do you find yourself stepping in where others could grow through their own effort? Dependency, whether emotional, financial, or practical, can form when one party constantly provides support, while the other receives without developing their own skills. This one-sided dynamic not only exhausts the giver, but subtly teaches the receiver that they cannot manage on their own. What if, by helping too much, you're reinforcing a belief in others that they are incapable of handling their own challenges? Stoicism teaches us that each person must cultivate the strength to handle their own burdens, as it is through these challenges that growth occurs. The answer lies in a Stoic approach to kindness, which encourages moderation and discernment. By allowing others to face their own difficulties, we offer a more profound form of help, one that fosters self-reliance rather than dependency. This doesn't mean we abandon others in times of need. It means we step back when appropriate, giving them the chance to learn and grow. Stoicism reminds us that there is great value in struggle, as it forges character and builds resilience. Consider this. The next time someone asks for your help, take a moment to assess whether your assistance will truly serve them. Is this an instance where they might benefit more by navigating the challenge on their own? In Stoic practice, empowering others to face adversity is often more beneficial than providing a quick fix. This approach honors their ability to grow and honors our own boundaries, creating a healthier, more balanced relationship. Ask yourself, are you helping others become stronger, or are you shielding them from challenges that could help them grow? By balancing kindness with Stoic wisdom, we can give in a way that respects both ourselves and those we support. In doing so, we foster an environment of resilience where kindness empowers rather than creates dependency. Next, we'll examine how, ironically, excessive kindness can lead others to question your intentions, potentially arousing suspicion and misinterpretation. 9. Arousing suspicion. Is your kindness making others question your intentions? When kindness is given freely and without boundaries, it can sometimes lead others to question our motives. Imagine going out of your way to help, only to find that your generosity is met with suspicion rather than gratitude. This doubt may arise because people are unaccustomed to receiving such selfless support, or they might assume that you have hidden intentions behind your actions. Have you ever had your kindness misinterpreted, making others think you expect something in return? Stoicism teaches us that our actions should stem from our own virtues, not from the opinions or interpretations of others. However, excessive kindness can still breed mistrust, as it may seem unnatural to those who view relationships as transactions. The Stoic philosophers would remind us that while we must act with integrity, we should not expect others to immediately understand or accept our intentions. Could your unbounded kindness be leading others to question your authenticity rather than see you as genuine? Epictetus emphasized that we should focus on what we can control, our intentions and actions, while letting go of how others perceive us. Yet, it's also wise to consider how our actions might be interpreted if we're looking to cultivate genuine connections. Too much giving, without any apparent reason, can make people wonder if there's an agenda behind it. Are you giving so much that others feel compelled to look for hidden motives? To avoid arousing suspicion, Stoicism suggests practicing balanced generosity. This means giving when it truly matters, without feeling the need to offer kindness constantly to everyone. A balanced approach to kindness feels more natural and less like an obligation or transaction. When we give with moderation, others are less likely to misinterpret our intentions, as our kindness appears as part of a balanced character rather than an endless fountain of favor. Consider this. If you notice others responding to your kindness with hesitation or doubt, it may be worth pausing to reflect on your approach. Are you giving for the sake of giving or to be seen as the kind person? Stoicism teaches us to be content with our inner intentions rather than seeking approval or validation from others. By embracing this mindset, we can give freely and authentically without concern for how it will be perceived. Ask yourself, do you give in a way that is truly genuine, or do you sometimes feel compelled to offer kindness to be liked or respected? By aligning our actions with our own values, rather than with external expectations, we find a path of kindness that is both authentic and respected. We can then let go of any concern about how our kindness might be misinterpreted. As we conclude this exploration, remember that true kindness doesn't mean giving endlessly or sacrificing our own well-being. In the Stoic spirit, kindness is a virtue best practiced with balance, self-respect, and discernment. In conclusion, while kindness is a virtue, unrestrained kindness can lead to unintended consequences, dependency, burnout, loss of boundaries, and even mistrust from others. Stoicism guides us to offer kindness from a place of inner strength, practicing moderation and setting boundaries to protect our own well-being. By doing so, we maintain not only our own peace, but also create healthier, more genuine relationships. Reflect on your own acts of kindness. Do they come from a place of inner stability, or are they sometimes driven by a need for external validation? By adopting Stoic practices, we can transform our kindness into a balanced and sustainable virtue, one that enriches our lives as much as it helps others. Thank you for watching and for engaging with these ideas on kindness and Stoicism. If this video has inspired you to reflect on your own approach to giving, please leave a comment below. Share your thoughts, like this video, and consider subscribing for more insights into Stoic wisdom. By sharing this content, you're helping others discover the strength that lies in mindful, balanced kindness. Thank you, and may you find peace and purpose in your path.